Welcome to another special episode of The Authority File. I'm your host, Bill Mickey. If you've been listening to the last few episodes, you've no doubt been hearing how we recorded a series of them live from the exhibit hall floor during April's ACRL conference in Cleveland. This episode continues that series. If you've missed some of the episodes, I urge you to check them out. While out in Cleveland, I spoke with librarians and publishers about innovative first-year experience initiatives, some incredibly cool developments in university press publishing, and the role higher ed can play in addressing a looming skills gap in the global workforce. Basically, we thought it would be fun to set up a mobile studio next to the choice booth in the exhibit hall and talk to our guests right out in the open. Recording the podcast live was really one of the best things we've done so far. It was terrific to set up our studio in a public setting and speak to our guests face-to-face, surrounded by the buzz and activity of the exhibit hall floor. And some of you even stopped by to tell us you're regular listeners, so thank you for that. This particular episode is brought to you by Project MUSE, and in it, my guests and I talk about an innovative program at University of North Carolina, Greensboro, in which the library offers mini-grants to teaching faculty to encourage wider adoption of open access and open educational resources. Joining me are Kelley Squazzo, Director of Publisher Relations and Content Development at Project MUSE, and Beth Bernhard, Assistant Dean for Collection Management and Scholarly Communications at UNC Greensboro. So here's me welcoming our guests from the great city of Cleveland during the 2019 ACRL conference. All right, hello everyone. This is Bill Mickey, the host of The Authority File and the editorial director at Choice. This episode is being recorded live on the show floor of the ACRL 2019 conference in Cleveland. Joining me here at the Choice booth are Beth Bernhard, Assistant Dean for Collection Management and Scholarly Communications and Associate Professor at University of North Carolina, Greensboro. Hi, Beth.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning. And Kelley Squazzo, Director of Publisher Relations and Content Development at Project MUSE. Hi, Kelley.
Hey, Bill.
How are you?
Good. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks.
Good.
So today we're going to be talking with Kelley and Beth about how UNC Greensboro implemented a mini-grant system to encourage faculty to lower the cost of their textbooks by either using open educational resources, library resources, or by creating their own. So Beth, could you tell us a little bit about the environmental factors at the university or the impetus for starting the program?
Well, the first time I heard about this program was from my friend Marilyn Billings in UMass at Amherst. And so I took a lot of what she was doing there and tried it out at UNCG. And the reason we wanted to do that at UNC Greensboro is that we have a very diverse population.
Right.
And we have more students coming to school that have never gone to school before, first generation students, and they are having struggles with finances and also just getting their college in and finishing college on time.
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. Okay. And so I take it the program didn't just spring into existence, there was some ramping up, or did it? I mean,
well, what I did is back in 2015 I held a forum with a faculty member at the bookstore, and also I brought in Nicole Allen from Spark, who was a big OER helping out with the community on that. And so just having those in the room have a conversation helped, and I made sure that the provost could be at that forum, because you want the provost on your side. So I definitely had her there. And after we had that forum, I talked to the provost, because my dean was already on board, can we do this? Can you help do this? Library puts in money, and the Provost's office puts in money so these grants can be awarded.
Okay. And so it sounds like you kind of sort of brought this to the table, spearheaded this. It wasn't sort of something that the state might have been encouraging you to do, or even higher up in the administration. So this is kind of a grassroots effort on your behalf.
Yeah. We just pretty much started it at UNCG, and we were the first in the state to do a mini grant program, and
Okay.
also the first in the state to join the Open Textbook Network that was out of the University of Minnesota.
Okay. And so, Kelley, I suppose what's playing out at UNC, and that's happening all over the country, and those pressures, publishers may be feeling this too. As a nonprofit, Project MUSE has a mission and not just a bottom line, obviously. And could you talk about some of the market trends that MUSE is reacting to, and how MUSE's mission intersects with those?
Yeah, I think MUSE's mission really aligns well with what's happening in the market.
Yeah.
We've been an aggregator of scholarly content from nonprofit publishers. We're celebrating our 25th anniversary next year, which is really exciting. I was using Project MUSE in grad school, but I don't want to date myself, but I digress. We host both gated and open access content, and we've been DRM-free from the beginning, so we are a resource for library. Exactly, I'm going to get thumbs up. I like that. So our mission is really that dissemination of essential humanities and social sciences content.
Yeah.
We definitely recognize this growing trend of the need for these resources for students in place of these big for-profit textbooks. I think that is an undisputable issue right now. And I think one of the worries that we've kind of reacted to is that maybe this content isn't scholarly enough. It's not readily discoverable. And we work really closely with our publishing partners to ensure that we have the most scholarly content available. So everything must go through a peer review process. We sell to libraries at competitive rates so that we can then give back. MUSE keeps a little for ourselves because we need to keep the lights on and we need to keep things moving, keep the platform contemporary and modernized. But we give most of it back to the publishers so they can continue to publish that scholarly content.
Yep.
So that's kind of how we're reacting to that, and we can play a role in that.
Right, so creating sort of a virtuous circle kind of
thing. That beautiful circle of life, right? Keeping that scholarly publishing world and that scholarly monograph, that low-earning scholarly monograph that desperately still needs to be available live.
Exactly. Good. So Beth, could you talk to us a little bit in more detail exactly about what the mini grant program at UNC Greensboro is and how it works?
So what happens is each spring we have workshops that we hold to educate faculty on the problem that with expensive textbooks, and then we offer them information on what the library has to offer. We've got videos, we've got books, we've got ebooks, we've got all this stuff we're paying for, and you should be using it. And so we look at that, and we have the workshop, and then they apply for the they do an application, a form that we fill out, and what we do then is have a rubric that we go by to. I have a team of a committee that looks at the applications, and then we work with trying to figure out, who you just do it by the numbers, and so you have 10 to give out. We might have had 15 applications, and so we give out 10, and then so we tell the other people, okay, sorry you didn't get your grant, but if you still want to do something, let us know. And so we've done that, the mini grant where it's $1,000 and they apply, and then the real stuff happens. We send them out an email saying, here's your subject librarian to help you, and here's your they're called ITCs, which are instructional technology consultants that work in the university in different departments, so those people can help them with any techie information they need or help. And then so we don't just say, here's your money and
good luck.
I'll come back and see you in a year. So in the summer we really work closely with the faculty member to make sure they've got what they need. I meet with them in August, right before school starts, to see, is there everything okay? You're ready to go? And then I also meet with them in December afterwards and see how the class went. What did they think? Did it work for them? Things like that.
Okay. So it's a $1,000 grant for each faculty. So you mentioned the application process. What goes into that? What's on the application? What are they filling out? And how are they qualifying themselves for the grant?
One of the things we have them do is, of course, tell us how often they teach this course, how many students are typically in that class, what was their textbook that they are wanting to switch, and how much that textbook cost. So, those kind of metrics are in there. Plus, things like what are your goals for doing this, and what are there any hurdles that you think might you encounter?
Yeah.
And do you need assistance from the library? So we try to get those questions answered before we actually sit down with them, so we can know, what there is. And also, how you would assess this? How would you assess this and have it and are you allowing the library to send in can we do an assessment at the end?
Right. So I imagine it sounds like it's a combination of need and sort of the more descriptive they can be and sort of what they would use the money for, the better for them in terms of when you might have to make a judgment call. I mean, I'm sure you wish you didn't, but...
Yeah. So the money actually is whatever they want to do with it.
Oh, okay.
It is just an incentive.
Okay.
And I've talked to several faculty members, and they said, I've always wanted to do this, but this was the kick in the rear to get it done.
There you go.
And so they were very happy that it was like, I needed to do this for a while, and I've been meaning to, but that's made me accountable, so I got it done.
Nice. Okay. Do you have any sort of insight into what the faculty end up using the money for, or is it a variety of things?
Some people are using it for they are using it to pay for travel to conferences.
Nice, good.
And things like that.
Yeah, excellent.
That's great.
And then with regard to the open materials themselves, I mean, do you and your staff help the faculty select those? And
yes. I have, what we do is we have an open education resources LibGuide. Everybody has a LibGuide for everything.
Right.
So we can point faculty to that for open education resources that are, have been looked at and vetted and peer reviewed and things like that. And so we help them find those things, and also we say, hey, we got this ebook that's from Project MUSE that might be something that you can use, because we do try to show them that there are things that are, DRM, things like that they can use for their classes, so any student can get to it if they want.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the instruction or the training that you might be providing to your own staff in terms of also where to find these materials or how to differentiate between what certain faculty might need or that kind of thing, is that going on as well?
Right. We definitely do a lot of training with our reference librarians and subject specialists. We have, times for them to come, and especially when they come in new and they're like, what are you doing? And so I, pretty much talk to them and work with them and do instruction when they need it to answer questions for them.
Okay.
And so they are really excited when one of their faculty get one of these grants, and they are like, oh, great. And it's a good time for them in the summer to help because there's no kids on campus in the summertime.
Yeah. Well, it's also creating a really strong link between your staff and the faculty as well. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Kelley, given what Beth has just described, I mean, are there ways MUSE could help specifically a library like Beth's?
I think we absolutely can help, and I think we do. Much of our content is in humanities, where there really isn't that traditional adopted textbook where, and most faculty there are pretty creative in their syllabi anyway. So I think we've got a lot of content there. Again, we're DRM-free, we're full text content, simultaneous usage, so there's no worries there. Professors can easily assign books in MUSE, include links on their syllabi or in their CMS, so there's that sort of flexibility there. I was at MLA earlier this year and talking to a lot of professors who were teaching like English 101, and they were finding course materials on MUSE, which was great. They were also using the platform to teach how to be a researcher. And when I actually used to teach 101 classes, alongside being in publishing as an adjunct, and I would partner with the librarian at the university and take my students to the library, and they would showcase platforms like Muse and other platforms to help students learn. And there's that kind of nice symmetry there. So they use the books for their course, and they're also using the platform to actually learn how to be researchers. And
okay, so there's like that discoverability layer there too.
Yeah, and that one-stop shopping. Students really like that familiarity of platforms, and I think there's a lot of research that supports that. So I think that's kind of nice. Right. And then students really see they've got a lot of stuff at their fingertips.
And then faculty are generally open to using these materials and these resources. Are we way beyond the point where faculty might be worried about quality issues or anything like that? Or
yeah, I think Project MUSE has been around for a really long time, so I think that we're very trusted in the industry, and we only work with nonprofit scholarly publishers, and we vet all of our content. So I think that's a real trustworthy resource, and that's the feedback we get. At the conferences, it's really nice to actually talk to users. I think we can definitely help out faculty in that regard.
And so, Beth, the library is also working with the bookstore to identify ebooks that the library can purchase or might already own. Can you talk about how that relationship works?
Sure. So this is another program on top of the mini grants. We were doing this program also where each, we've already started right now getting the adoption list every week from from the bookstore. They send us a list, and we then go through, our staff members go through and see what they can buy. And, it has to be, DRM-free, easy. Also, we do, because sometimes things are expensive.
Absolutely.
And so we try to, see which is going to be the biggest bang for our buck. Is this class a big class? Is it a small class? And those kind of things. So we only have a certain amount of money, so we try to do what we can with the money, so we're kind of figuring out. And the cool thing is that we then tell the faculty member, we send them an email and say, this is an option for you to put in your Canvas for your students as an option for free textbooks. I mean, for the library supporting their textbook need. And so that email goes out to them so they can know, hey, I can put this in. And we always get these emails back going, yay, thank you, this is awesome, I didn't know this. And then they'll ask another question. They'll come back and say, hey, how about this class? Can we find something for in this class for to use? So that starts another relationship with faculty. And we take those books and we make another LibGuide, right? So at the first of the semester, the first question that most students have when they come in the library is, do you have my textbook? And so the staff now, everybody knows that LibGuide's there, and they go and look for it real quick and say, yes, we have it, or sorry, we don't. But it's a good way, and we've been working with that for probably 5 semesters now. It's been going on. So it's kind of, we've got the groove down. We get the links, we get them set, we get them in the catalog, we get everything going.
Good. So it seems like it might be difficult to determine whether a checkout is directly attributable to this program. I mean, how are you measuring the success of it?
Well, I haven't done it yet, but it's on my agenda for the summer to look at do a deep dive and to see because some of these books we identified we already had for years. And I wanted to look at what was the usage before we identified them, and now after, and see. I have one book I just know because it's been around for a while that is getting crazy amounts of usage, but I want to go back and see what it was before, before we actually told people we had this book and it was available.
Right. Do you anticipate any potential changes you might make to the program based on what you might learn from the results, or what are some of the directions you might take it in? Well,
we've actually done some different things. We had the math department come and say, hey, we'd like to get this open source software for homework instead of paying Pearson for $200 for homework. And so can the library help and fund this? I was like, sure. So we've been doing a lot of different things, like helping in that and support that way too.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun.
That is good.
Because that's math. I mean, that's everybody in math. I mean, that's that's big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it sounds like the more sort of programs and the grants that you're offering, the more you do those kinds of things, the more aware everybody's becoming of the opportunities available to them. So they're now starting to come to you and say, hey, can we do open this, open that, and so that's good.
It's fun, and it's there's always somebody has a different need, and and we're like, oh, well, let's think about that. Okay,
yeah. Good. Kelley, so you arrived at MUSE from a for-profit publisher?
That's correct.
Yep.
Yep.
And so how did that inform your views of the OA market and nonprofit publishing? Are there differences you see in the nonprofit world with regards to course resources?
Yeah, I think I did work for a for-profit publisher. I've also worked in the nonprofit world. I don't want to be too disparaging to the big publishers. There are a lot of great editors out there that are signing really great authors and developing really good work. But we all know the student wallet size is not getting any bigger, and in fact is shrinking. Student loan debt is a huge issue, and these, like you were saying at the beginning, Beth, like it's so hard for students to get through class. And I think what's really great about university presses is they are publishing these monographs, so they're also publishing books that they think might have course book potential, but they're putting them in aggregators like Project MUSE because the authors and the publishers want to have the widest possible usage. They want that book to be used. And I think that's a really important distinction and really important piece to note about university presses, and then that we can give back to the publishers and let them continue to sign this work and have it available to students. So there is a pretty big difference, I think. Yeah.
So in respect to that, I mean, achieving that widest possible use, I mean, what are you seeing in that on that side of things, and what are you able to tell the publishers who are participating with Project MUSE in terms of engagement or usage metrics, or I mean, how is it really as wide as they're hoping it to be?
It really is exciting right now because we just launched our new platform in the fall. We had a Mellon grant, which allowed us to redesign our platform and also launch MUSE Open, which is our now ability to host open access content, which is great. We treat all of our open access content the same as we do gated, so everything must be peer reviewed from esteemed scholarly publishers. Everything's discoverable alongside one another on the platform, and we're able to launch a really robust user statistics package, so publishers can see what's being used, where it's being used, and hopefully that'll help inform their publishing strategies and see where there are areas of strength and where we can see where we might have some gaps, where we can go and work with new publishers and fill those gaps to just make the corpus of MUSE as wide and robust as possible.
So is there like a little publisher dashboard that each of them has? So they can see?
MUSE has got a really nice publisher dashboard where you can see all that. You can access that at any time and run reports. And we will also, because we're small and my publisher relations team, we're just 3 of us, we are able to sit down with our publishers and walk through those statistics with them and talk to them. So that's a nice service that we can do.
Excellent. Well, Kelley and Beth, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it.
Okay.
Thanks.
You.
It was great to be here.
You just heard from Kelley Squazzo, Director of Publisher Relations and Content Development at Project MUSE, and Beth Bernhard, Assistant Dean for Collection Management and Scholarly Communications at UNC Greensboro. This concludes another episode from our series recorded live from the exhibit hall floor at the 2019 ACRL conference held in Cleveland, Ohio. This episode was made possible by Project MUSE. You can find all of the episodes of The Authority File on your favorite podcast app or on our website, choice360.org. Just click on the librarianship dropdown. On choice360.org, you'll also find information on Choice's entire product platform, including Choice Reviews, CC Advisor, Choice Webinars, resources for college libraries, our white papers, and a whole lot more. A great way to keep up with The Authority File is to join the Choice Authority File Facebook group, which you can access via the Choice Reviews Facebook page. As a member of the group, you can give us feedback, suggest podcast participants, chat with other listeners, and submit new topic ideas. Sponsorship and advertising for the Authority File podcast are handled by Choice's advertising manager, Pam Marino, and the production and editing are done by Choice's digital media specialist, Mark Dirks. That's all for this week. Thanks for joining us.